Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Listen, glad to have you guys here. Today is it's a Wednesday, the 28th of 2019 of August. Okay, and let's get started. Let's open up the charts right here and take a look. First thing we're going to take a look at Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank's starting to slide again today. It's been going through these cycles the last few weeks. It'll slide down. It'll go into the €5, upper €5, maybe 5.85 euros, and then some mysterious hand comes in and brings it back up above 6. Let's see if it happens this time. So she's starting to slide again. Let's see if some mysterious hand comes in when it gets down around 5.85 euros and props it back up to 6.2 or 6.3. Let's see. We'll watch and see this time if that happens again. Because I'm very curious what's going on with Deutsche Bank. How come their stock keeps going down to near a new record low, and all of a sudden it gets propped back up again? And I'm mysterious. What's happening there? What's causing this? It's really frustrating me, and I'm wondering what's causing it. I don't know yet. Okay, so now we're going to talk about China, here just for a minute. And it says President Trump tweeted early Monday morning that his team had received multiple calls from Beijing about the prospect for restarting trade talks. However, China swiftly denied this and insisted that it had no knowledge of any calls going out from the Trump administration. So what we see here is what China has to say right here. It says, "I'm not aware of that," Chinese Foreign Minister spokesman Geng Shang said at a regular briefing. And he said, this is what he said: "Regretfully, the United States has announced its..." Now, this is what Geng Shang said. He said, "Regretfully, the United States has announced this decision to add new tariffs on Chinese products. Such maximum pressure will hurt both sides, and is not constructive at all," quote unquote. So, you know what? We're gonna have to watch the markets, but I'm gonna tell you about the market. We have seen nothing for years now except a rising market buoyed on central bank stimulus, easy money. And the market is still giddy from all of this stimulus. The market still wants to go higher. Its tendency is it wants to find anything that it sees or perceives as good news and bounce higher. But all we're getting is bad news. And so they thought they had some good news and they bounce higher, but will they continue to bounce higher? They need good news. The market needs good news. The market is like it's addicted to this central bank stimulus, and it wants good news, and it wants more stimulus, and it wants more lowered interest rates, and it wants more. Wants. This is a very demanding market now. It's extremely demanding. But if it gets what it wants, it's going to rise. If it doesn't get what it wants, it's going to have a temper tantrum. It's just like, you ever seen these kids that'll hold their breath, and mother gives in. They're in the store and they're pulling stuff off of the shelves and stuff onto the floor and everything and having a temper tantrum because they're not getting what they wanted. You've seen them. I've seen them squealing, they're just squealing and wanting what they want. Well, the market wants what it wants. Let's take a look at gold price currently. Now, gold's reacting to all of this, so silver, and I couldn't pull up my charts this morning, my normal charts. It just says service unavailable. So we're going to have to look at these charts and the price of gold. Gold is $1541.92 right now. It's up 0.41% on the day. And if we take a look at this chart right here, we can see what gold has done over the last 6 months. We can see we're in a rally. I mean, it was 1,200 and change back 6 months ago, and it was going along with a slight downward trend, And the sentiment was, sentiment was so bad. Nobody wanted to buy, But now she's popping up, and sentiment's starting to improve in the gold and silver market. And it's no wonder, because we're entering into what's probably going to be a decade-long bull run. Now, okay, gold and silver prices are a lot higher right now than they were. I mean, you could have bought it for 1,200 and change. Now it's 1,500 and roughly $1,550. I'll say one thing about it: get it while it's cheap. And I'm talking $1,550 cheap. Get it while it's cheap. Let's take a look at the silver price. I still think the price is cheap. In my mind, this is cheap compared to what it's going to be doing over the next 10 years. This is cheap, Silver today is, it's been moving up today, but let me see. Let me try to get a 1-hour chart and see what it's doing over the last hour. Over the last hour, it's been basically going sideways at around $18.39 right now, I guess is what it is. Okay, $18.40. So it's trending upwards right now at this moment in time. Let's take a look now at cryptocurrency market capitalizations. We're looking at 265.3 billion. Let me refresh the page and see which direction it's going. 265.2 billion. So it's going down a little bit. It hasn't been going anywhere lately. Cryptocurrency is waiting for good news. The same good news that would move the markets upwards would be the same good news that would move cryptocurrency upwards. But gold and silver, they're moving upwards on bad news. So the worse the bad news gets, gold and silver is going to go higher. And the more good news we get, cryptocurrency will go higher, and so will the markets. So the markets are moving with cryptocurrency, and they're moving downwards on bad news, where gold and silver are moving upwards on bad news. But it seems like all we're getting lately is bad news. Now, Boris Johnson is going to suspend Parliament, as for what I hear in the news. And this is a move toward a hard Brexit. Okay, so we got that on October 31st, and that could bring down the entire system. I mean, that is really a big one. It's like if Deutsche Bank went down, which we're watching too. Okay, so let's take a look now at the Dow Jones for the day, and it's down 111 points. Unless we get some good news today, something that they can feed on, they're going to continue to squeal like a cranky little child, and down they go, down 111 points on the day, Big question mark is, this is like a game of poker. When is the Fed going to fold their hand? How long are they going to hold their hand? This is the thing, and this is the big question mark in my mind, is how far are they going to let this go before they react to support the markets? Big question mark in my mind, and that question mark has a lot to do with what's going to happen with gold, silver, and crypto, and what's going to happen with the dollar. Right now, investors are scared. They're running into dollars. Let's take a look at crude oil, 56.04. Crude oil is creeping upwards, up $1.11 today, at 2% up today. That's a big move up for crude oil today alone. That's a big move up for crude oil. Let's take a look now at U.S. Treasuries. And this yield curve inversion is really getting sick. It's getting worse. I mean, it's shouting, it's screaming that a recession is coming in the not too distant future. I'm going to tell you what, guys. Honest to gosh. If we hadn't had this trade war, we could have lasted quite a little bit longer. We probably would have, the recession probably wouldn't have come until after the presidential election. And the recession probably wouldn't have come actually until sometime in 2021. if we hadn't had this trade war and if we hadn't had Brexit, you know, they probably would have been able to keep the economy stimulated enough to keep it going until later, longer. But now everything's changed, so we might as well not cry over spilt milk. Everything's changed. This recession, this slowdown in the world economy has been intensified by the power of 10 because of what's happened. And this yield curve is just screaming out what's happening. And we see the short end of the yield curve is either not moving at all or moving very little. And even the 3-month is actually moving toward the upside. Where we see the long end, we see the biggest moves. And the further out we go onto the long end of the yield curve, the bigger moves we see. And we see the U.S. 30-year has really started to capitulate now. It's down 5.7 basis points today alone. That's big. Okay? Let's take a look now at the U.S. dollar index. 98.14. And so we see it's just exactly like I said months and months and months ago. I said they were going to run into gold, silver, and the dollar in the initial stage of the recession. Now, it's just like a car going down the highway. You shift gears. This recession's going to shift gears. Okay? So the first part of this recession, which is gear 1, that's what we're in right now. And I said they were going to go for gold, silver, and the dollar. It's coming out, it's panning out exactly like I said. And that's why we see moves up. The dollar's staying strong. It's staying above 98 on the U.S. dollar index. And this shows the results of investors are scared. They're moving into gold, silver, and the dollar. And the yield curve inversion has to do with that too. That's movement into the dollar. The dollar is the best fiat currency. But never forget, it's a fiat currency. And so these traders that are moving into the dollar as a safe play, they're missing one big, vital, huge point that's overwhelmingly obvious that they should be seeing that they're not. Is that the powers that be can create as many dollars as there are leaves on the trees. They can't do that with gold, silver, and cryptocurrency, but they can with the dollar. They have that power. And back in 2008, they showed that power. They're going to show it again. This time it's going to be bigger and more overwhelming when they do. Okay, so now let's move on. And what else we got left to cover here? We covered Beijing, and here's what I want to point out. I want to take a look at this chart more often. It's a very simple chart, but try to remember this number. 7.16 today is the trade for dollar. That's how many renminbi or Chinese currency you get. You get 7.16. We're watching this very carefully now. And the reason why we're watching this very carefully is as this number moves up from 7s to possibly 8s or 9s, it's going to show the intent of the Chinese to manipulate their currency lower in an effort to fight against the trade tariffs. Okay? So we're watching this extremely carefully, this trade between the US dollar and the renminbi, or the Chinese currency, the yuan. Why can't they pick one name for it, for crying out loud? Why do they got to call it the yuan or the renminbi? We call our currency the dollar. Just pick one name for it. Pick one. Yuan, renminbi, and then stick to that. Why call it two different things? Yuan and renminbi is the same thing. The Chinese yuan. Well, I guess yuan is easier to say, So listen, thank you guys for listening to this market report. Have a great day, the rest of it, and we'll catch you guys probably tomorrow morning. Bye-bye, guys. Oh, and give me a thumbs up. Thank you very much.